studying and working, boy oh boy. Had to take a minute there. No joke. Like, if you do set your mind that you want to study and work, let me not lie to you, it's no joke. It can be done, I'm doing it, but it's no joke. So you have to be determined, have the faith and have the push. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for all those who've already subscribed, and to new subscribers, and to those who would subscribe after this video. I know the background is different. I'm at my parents' house, and every time I film, most times that I filmed, I've actually been at my parents' house, but you know, finding lighting ain't no joke, guys, ain't no joke. And I don't have a ring light yet, so you know, I'm trying to play around with lighting and just see which places in the house are best for filming. Thank you all so much for the love, especially on my career as a chartered secretary. I've got a lot of messages online and offline. I know and I appreciate that there's not a lot of information for people who are actually starting out. That's why it was placed on my heart to actually start a YouTube channel about this, as well as some career advice and things like that. So I'm back today with a video on everything you need to know about starting out a career as a chartered secretary. I think it would help a lot of people who are trying to get into the industry. When I started out, there was not much information, and I know there still isn't. The ICSA are working on it. There are lots of changes that are coming in 2019, which I'll touch on as I go along in the video. But for now, I just thought I would just come to you with how I started. Well, I already have a video on how I started out, but I'll come to you with what I found helped me and what I can also share with you that would help you along your journey. So this is my video on, if you want to know how to get started in the industry, what the industry is about a little bit, then please keep watching. So first and foremost, we are governed by the ICSA, which stands for the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators, which is also the Governance Institute. I would leave a link to the website below that you can check out when you have a minute. But we are governed by them, so all our rules and regulations come from the ICSA. The ICSA is an international recognition, and to be honest, that is one thing that stood out to me when I heard about the industry. It was the fact that, you know, I don't have to be based in the UK to be able to use my degree or to be able to use my profession. So people, you know, study in the UK but then relocate to Australia, study in the UK, relocate to Singapore, people in Singapore relocate to the UK, Ghana. There's so many things, so many places that you can actually use the qualification. So that is definitely one valuable thing about the ICSA, the fact that it's internationally recognized, and knowing that, you know, with things like Brexit, you know, you never know where you find yourself. You know, you could meet Bay and Bay could be in like Dubai or something, and you could just take your degree and, you know, shoot. So that is definitely one key factor about the ICSA qualification. Sorry, I'll be looking down on my phone a little bit because I did write some points and stuff like that. So with the membership, there are 4 layers. You start off as a student member, then you move on to a graduate member, then you move into an associate member, and then you become a fellow. I will talk through each level and how you get to this level. So as a student member, you're either studying and working at the same time, or you've done your masters. So if you do your masters, you become a student member of the institute. So you would have access to the website and to other important bits on the website that you can only access as a member or student member of the institute. So you'll be able to use all these things and to your advantage, and also build your professional self while you go through the journey. And then after that, after you finish that degree or you finish your exams, you become a graduate member. So you can use the term grad ICSA by your name. For people who did SILEX or ACCA, you'll be familiar with this because it's the same sort of layout in the way it goes. So after you've studied, so if you're studying and working, you've been in industry 3 years, you can attain your associate status as quickly as when you finish, instead of having a grad status when you finish your masters. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but what I'm trying to say is when you do the masters and you come out, you would have the grad ICSA status. So you have to work for 3 years and then attain your associate status. So because by then assuming that you've had a degree. Again, it is done on a case-by-case basis. The panel will meet and decide whether you would be awarded that status. When you're a graduate member, so you've worked and studied, you know, 3 years, you can now attain your associate status. For someone like me, I've worked and studied and I'm coming up to 3 years. I have 2 exams left, and then I would hopefully, inshallah, become fully qualified by the end of next year, hopefully, and then I can apply for my associate status because I've got my degree in law and I've done the professional qualification. I've worked within that time as well, so I'll be able to get that. From an associate, you become a fellow, and to become a fellow, you have to be in a senior position in your organization and have been in industry for at least 8 years. Again, this is decided by the panel on a case-by-case basis. Also, although they do give you like an overview of when you can apply for these things, it is decided by a panel as to when and how you can be awarded such statuses. So I'm not sure if that's the same way it works for the ICSA or other, you know, professional exams that people take, but I'm pretty sure it's the same thing, because it's only fair that they do it that way, so that, you know, not a lot of people are attaining these things. But however, if you do work hard, you're determined, have the faith, you would attain your status at the end. So from my perspective as currently a student member, I am studying and working, and the exams are called the CSQS exams. This is the Chartered Secretaries Qualifying Scheme, I think that's what it means. And there are 2 levels, so you have level 1 and level 2. All of them have 4 sets of exams that you take. Now that I'm recording this is 2017 that I'm recording this. However, in 2019 there are changes that are going to come, that are going to be put in place by the ICSA. So this would change in terms of the layout and the exams that are coming. They're actually going to switch it up a lot more, which I think is going to be really good. So at the time, hopefully, I'm still on YouTube and I would make a video about it. But for now, if you've done the masters, are looking to do the masters, or are studying and working right now, this would be applicable to you. You would be eligible for some exemptions if you studied a law degree or a finance degree. I studied a law degree, so I had 2 exemptions, which was business law and corporate law. So I had 6 exams to take. I'm currently taking 4 and I have 2 more to go. If you study for a finance degree, you would be eligible for an exemption as well, I think in the finance modules. So again, on a case-by-case basis, you do have to provide proof on this. You have to provide your degree classification to be able to get this exemption. If you did the LPC and decided that, you know, I don't want to be a barrister or a solicitor, I want to go down the chartered secretarial route, again, you'll be eligible for some exemptions, actually more exemptions than what you get when you start out. So I would definitely advise that if you did the LPC and you decide that you want to go down this route, do speak to the ICSA first before you actually sit any exams, because what happens is, if you sit an exam and you fail it and you were probably exempt from it, you'd have to sit it until you pass. So just speak to them, get more information as to which ones you are exempt from before you sit these exams, because mate, you don't want to put yourself through that at all, because once you failed it, you'd have to keep sitting it until you pass it. So definitely speak to the ICSA on that. And if you did study a law degree and a finance degree, you'd also be eligible for some exemptions. So do speak to the ICSA before you sit any exams. I know you would probably use it in the case study when you come to write the case study, which is the last exam you can take right now. However, it's best to know which ones you're going to be exempt from, because child, we're not going to be writing exams that we should not really be writing. Do you know what I mean? Like, and easy cry. But yeah, it's not a joke. The exams are not easy. So definitely speak to the ICSA on that one. So if you do decide to do the master's route, there are 4 universities that the ICSA has partnered with that you can take these exams with, or take the master's route with. You've got the University of Portsmouth, which I went to, London South Bank, Ulster University, and the University of Northampton. So these are the 4 universities that the ICSA would accept that you have qualified on this course and you can attain your grad ICSA status. So just make sure that, you know, you you know that this is how it's going to work for you. If you do decide to do the master's route, you can do a 1-year route, you can do a 2-year route where you're studying and working. Again, if you study and work while you're doing the master's and you attain your 3 years experience with your degree, they would, on a case-by-case case, possibly provide you with an associate status when you come out. So these are other routes that you can take. If not, you can do what I'm doing, start out as a trainee, work your way to the top while studying and working. I find personally that employers actually do find this very they find that people who study and work much more enthusiastic or a lot more keen, because you know you're struggling through the struggle, really. You know, you're trying to work your way to the top, but at the same time you're studying and working. And studying and working, boy oh boy, I had to take a minute there. No joke. Like, if you do set your mind that you want to study and work, let me not lie to you, it's no joke. It can be done, I'm doing it, but it's no joke. So you have to be determined, have the faith and have the push. There are times where you have to, you know, take yourself out of social settings, literally go into hiding to be able to pass these exams, because they're not a joke. So do think about it properly before you actually, you know, put your mind to it and focus on doing these exams. The master's route, again, masters are not easy, however it's a bit more easier, I think. I've seen some of the papers and professional exams compared to master's route, there is a difference. So again, you might want to do it that way. You probably have to self-fund yourself, where if you work within an organization, the possibility of them funding you through this is higher. So definitely think about it before you actually, you know, commit yourself to taking these exams. Definitely, that's one thing that I would advise anybody. And when you do start out, please do not rush it. If you have to take one at a time, take it one at a time, especially if you're already in industry. Where are you running to? Fair enough, you might want to get it out of the way, but trust me, when you do 2 at a time, you could easily you could fall sick. And because currently there are only 2 sittings a year, so you can only sit the exam in June or November. So if you fail your June exam and you're resitting, it has to be in November. So you set yourself back a whole 6 months. You can even set yourself back a whole year, and it can be really demoralizing, especially if people in the organization are passing their qualifications or have passed the qualification you're doing, and you are just like feel like you're slagging behind because you've taken 2 at a time. Take one, run your own race. Just a diulemu, run your own race and get to the finishing line. It was very rewarding. Once you've achieved or passed one exam, the feeling of knowing that you're one step closer to your goal and your dream is really, really words can't describe it. But do take your time with these professional exams, especially if you're already in industry. You're not rushing anywhere. The fact that you have not finished these exams does not mean you cannot be promoted. Does not mean that you have to stay where you are until you finish these exams. Employers know you're working, you're getting this qualification, so they would hopefully push you to the next step based on the one step at a time you're taking with these exams. You're not rushing anywhere, just run your own race. That's definitely one advice I would give to anybody who wants to study and work, regardless of whatever professional degree or qualification you're taking. Definitely take your time with it. The next thing that I want to talk about is, once you've finished all the exams and everything, it doesn't end there. You still have to gather points, which is called the CPD. So it's like professional development. So you do this by attending like networking events, attending talks, and just submitting your points to your to the ICSA, and then I think you have to attain a certain amount of points every year. But if you're studying, that's the way you get your CPD. It's deemed as professional development, so you wouldn't have to worry about that. But once you have qualified, you do have to do this. Hopefully when I'm at that stage, I will do a video on it, because I'm not really sure how it works right now. So if you are currently studying for a degree in law, or any degree really, and you do decide that you want to tap into or venture into the chartered secretarial industry, the ICSA hold a graduate opening day in November, and I've just checked it, and it's the 1st of November they're holding this, and it's free. So you just turn up, free refreshments as well, so get yourself there. and then you can get to speak to people who are already in industry. They also like, you can answer any questions that you may have. So maybe if you've done the LPC, you want to know what exemptions you may get, you know, you can speak to somebody there who would be able to provide you advice or put you in touch with somebody who would be able to do so. So if you're not doing anything and you do want to know more about the industry, I would suggest that you do attend the graduate opening day on the 1st of November at the ICSA. I would leave the link down below and you can speak to somebody who would help you. I think these are all the essential things that one should know before starting out, or if they want to start out a career as a chartered secretary. If you have any other questions, so I do know a little bit about the industry, things that I didn't know, I know now. I get lots of people ask me questions about which exam to take first. I think that's personal preference. It depends. If you think finance is not for you, I would say take that first and get it out of the way, just so that you can, you know, put your mind to it and just focus on what the enjoyable ones, really. Not to say that any of them are easy. None of them are easy. They're all pretty difficult. So I would say just take it that way, but definitely do it one at a time if you're already in industry. If you're already doing the master's route, you have no choice but to take the modules according to how your university of choice has laid them out for you. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you all so much for the love. By the time this video goes out, we would have celebrated Eid, so I wanted to wish all my fellow brothers and sisters Eid Mubarak. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us, you know, our heart desires and bring us closer to Him. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.